has been 10 years this week since I first picked up my rather dodgy old DSLR camera and decided that I'd just film one or two little segments of my as their new allotment. And so I thought, to mark that occasion, what I'm going to do today is just take a little look back, see what I've learned, not just as a gardener, but more specifically, how the YouTube journey has affected my gardening and vice versa. So what I've learned from that, and also what I've learned about myself, and just to consider whether or not it was worth it. So whether you are new to the channel, whether you make your own videos, whether you've been watching for a while, or whether you're considering starting your own channel, you might want to just listen in and take it from someone who's 10 years down the line and weigh up whether it's worth it for you. So what is it that made me pick up my camera all those years ago? Well, as someone who'd always enjoyed gardening, but only had a frustratingly small garden at home, I'd put my name down for an allotment in our small town. And after a couple of years on the waiting list, one became available. Only very, very small, but I was absolutely overjoyed. And as I'd been writing a blog at the time on a completely different subject, I thought, oh great, this is great. I am going to switch my blog around a little bit to include bits of my gardening. And then that completely coincided with the fact that one of the people who I used to enjoy reading as a blogger suddenly put out this thing called, I think it was called a podcast then. And all of a sudden, she was on a different level. Instead of just reading her words, she was saying them to me. You could just engage. You could see the person. You could see the personality come through. And that really, really intrigued me. So I thought, okay, I am one who, for years, I'm sure you've all had this, when you first hear your voice on any sort of recording device, it's horrendous. If you see yourself, on a picture, you think, I mean, it's different nowadays, technology is different, but you think, oh, why did I only have one eye open? You have to get over that sort of thing pretty quickly, I can tell you. And initially, it was to diarise. It was literally to diarise my allotment, to show what it was like when we took it on, and then probably keep going for a year and show what it was like. It was very much going to be a before and after. As you'll know, if you're gardening yourselves, things develop. And you will know you look back to when you first started gardening, the first thing you planted, you probably thought, yeah, that's going to grow, it's going to be great, it's going to grow, I'm going to pick it, I'm going to eat it, whatever. It doesn't work like that, because you have things that you don't think about when you're gardening to begin with. You don't consider all the pests, you don't consider the diseases, you don't necessarily consider the weather, you don't necessarily consider the environment that you are growing in. And believe you me, after those first few disasters in your growing area, you suddenly become aware that, hold on, this isn't what I signed up for, what's going on here? And you learn that you have got to evolve with the garden around you. Nature plays a huge part, and nature does not stand still. I'm saying that, I'm in a shed at the moment, and we've got a yellow warning storm going on all around us. So there's probably quite a few things going to nature right now outside. But yeah, so you evolve. All I knew was I didn't want to harm anything necessarily, but I didn't really think there was anything to harm. So the major thing was I didn't want to use slug pellets. I've been trying everything ever since. I still had no joy, I must tell you. But I didn't want to use slug pellets. Then that sort of widened. Why not use slug pellets? Well, that would harm the birds. but what will the birds eat if they can't eat the slugs? Well, okay, and you start to become more and more aware of the ecosystem in your growing space. And for me, anyway, that was important, because I didn't want to grow food in isolation of everything else. I wanted it to be part of a much bigger system, a big system. So now I have gone down, if I look back over the last 10 years, I will plant for pollinators, I will plant for wildlife, I will extend my growing season as far as I can to cover the 12 months. And it is really important to me. And I suppose if you talk about, if I've got any sort of ethos at all, it sounds really corny when I say it, but it is to be at one with my garden, to be part of it, rather than trying to dominate it and rule it. You've got to some extent. You know, we've all got to use garden nets when we don't want to. But yeah, so as a gardener, you evolve. As a gardener with a YouTube channel, well, that's an interesting journey in itself. Okay, so as a YouTuber, do you want to go down the vlog route, which is basically what I do, and, you know, bits and pieces thrown in, not too worried about it being a major source of income or any source of income at all? Or do you want to make it work for you? And when I say that, do you want to earn some sort of income from it? For me, as I say, it's the former. It was primarily to diarise my development at the allotment and how it was growing and going. And because of the feedback that I got, I just thought, I'll just do a couple more. But there are things that you will learn that you never ever thought you needed to. So I've written mine down, because I kept thinking, all week I've been thinking, what else would I know? What else didn't I know before I started? Okay, these are just a few of the practical skills you will not need to know. You will learn them as you go along. You will learn how to film. You will learn how to edit. You will have to learn some rudimentary form of graphic design. You will learn how to market yourself. You will learn how to do some photography. You will ultimately, this is most important for me, learn how to do storytelling. And by that, I don't mean, you know, bedtime stories, but, you know, take something from start to finish. All these are like what I would call hard skills that you don't realise that you might need. You think, oh, I'm going to film myself doing the garden. But actually, and it's a wonderful thing, it's all learning. These things will come along as well. And at the end of 10 years, I've realised, yeah, I can make films. Yeah, I can edit. I can do all things I never expected to do. So it's hard work, but if you are willing to do it, then it can be really, really good fun. And just a quick cutaway here, don't forget in your videos to do a call to action, which will basically ask people to click the like button, click subscribe, leave a comment, or click the notification bell for future uploads. Another interesting thing that you'll come across, which as far as I'm concerned, I haven't come across it in any other walk of life. You might have had a different experience. There is something called the algorithm. Oh yes. Social media people across the world will sigh at the word algorithm, because the algorithm is what allows you to connect with your audience, and it is what YouTube will use in order to promote your videos. So it's not just that I can go out and film whatever I want, put whatever music on I want, and it will be a success because I think it's very good. That's not the rules. Honestly, it is. It's a huge, huge subject. It's a huge, huge area. I've only recently learned about search engine optimization, SEO, keywords, taglines, hashtags, what's best to use, all these different things. It is evolving all the time. We were talking about the garden evolving. Social media is evolving at such a rapid rate. So be prepared. Once you start a YouTube channel, soon enough, you will have people emailing you, contacting you, telling you that they can give you this, they can do this for you, they can do that for you. Again, it's exciting. People are interested in me. No, they're not. They are interested in selling what they've got to sell through you. And yes, it would be nice to have some free bandanas for your dog or some free sunglasses. They are things that I do not need and are not important for my channel. And also for me, if I work with somebody, I mean, I've worked with various companies over the years, and not one of them would I look back on and regret working with. They are companies I believe in, I believe in their ethos, and I believe in their products, and I would not dream of making a video about something that was not going to be of any use to me just because I was going to get some money for it. So that is up to you. And the reason I say that is because although it might be very exciting now, once you have made that video, it is out there, it is in the ether. You cannot do much to change it. So 10 years time, you might be thinking, oh yes, remember, yeah, I believe in such and such. And someone's going to come back at you, or they could come back at you and say, what do you remember when you did that, that video? I've got to be very careful. That video about top hats. Why did you do that? Why did you do that then? So remember, everything that you do, it's going to be on your mark sheet, if you like. As you can imagine, I have seen many talented YouTubers, talented gardeners come and go over the years, just purely because they have got either completely burnt out or completely disillusioned with the whole process, because it is not a case of how much content you produce. It is not a case of having the best, highest quality camera. It's not a case of having the latest editing software. The quality of the content is what will ride over all of that. So pace yourself, give yourself goals, but try and be realistic at the same time. So ultimately, after 10 years and almost 400 videos, has it been worth it? I think the very fact that I'm still sitting here tells you that it has. If we're looking at financially, no, I haven't made an income from it. That's my choice. I haven't come at it with a business head. But I've learned so much. It has allowed me to go down routes I never thought I would go down. So I write regularly now. I write for a national magazine. I never thought I'd be able to do that. I would love one day to write a book. That is something, you know, we talked about goals earlier on. That is a sort of goal I've got floating around down there. But now it's possible because I know I've been able to do all this. It's given me the confidence that I can try, because I do think if you really try at it, you'll get somewhere. And I think it comes back to being yourself, because if you try to be anything but, you will burn out. So remember that. Remember to keep your feet on the ground. So ultimately, whether or not you decide to start your own channel, whether or not you decide to pick up that camera and film yourself and go through the whole, oh, is that what I really sound like? Oh, is that what I really look like? You should be really, really proud of yourself. Whether you make one video, whether you've made 100, whether you've made 1,000, it is a big thing to do. And to share it with others is just, it is well worth all the disappointments, all the lows, everything else that I've, you know, mentioned that could go wrong. If it wasn't for all the good things that happen, I wouldn't be doing it today. So yeah, I would encourage any of you to get out there, pick up your camera and give it a go.